Welcome into Wolo and Friends. No Dave today. It was a late night for him. At 8 p.m. start, our time, 9 p.m. start in Tampa. I believe he made his way home late last night. Didn't get into the wee hours of the morning. So no Dave today. Bryant and Darian filling in for him. A lot to get to today. With the Tigers playing last night, they got a big-time win over USF on the road. We also got to talk All-Star Weekend is here. Also a really busy weekend in the college basketball scene that will really, outside of All-Star Weekend, college basketball is going to dominate this weekend because this will be the first weekend where it is only college basketball. Now, if you're a college baseball fan, you've got that. But you look, NBA All-Star Weekend's going on. All of that will be at night, and so throughout the day you'll have nothing NBA-wise. NHL is on a break for the Four Nations Face-Off that I want to talk a little bit about later in the show. And so tomorrow it is going to be a college basketball dominant day, and I think you have to love that if you are someone in college basketball, if you're a fan of college basketball, because the first day you get that, no football, no NBA, no NHL, you have a number one versus a number two in Auburn, Alabama. So it's going to be a really fun day tomorrow, but I do want to start off by talking about what happened last night. Memphis versus USF on the road. I'll say this, I'll say it again this afternoon, but for those who don't know, in the afternoon, Brett and I, Darian participates as well. We do Tiger Bankroll, and we bet on all of the imaginary money. We got $1,000 to start off. You bet on each Tiger game against spread, no juice or anything. If you bet $50 and you have the Tigers covering, you win $50. If you lose $50. Very
$50, man. We had a big spender yesterday.
Whatever. So I have been awful picking the Tigers this year. 2 years ago, I was fantastic. I mean, I went on a run.
Do you recall how much you finished with?
I don't remember how much I finished with, but I was on a roll where I was like 20-3 or something like that. Like, I mean, it was crazy. Just unbelievable. Not this year. This year I've not been so good. I backed the Tigers when I thought this is a game the Tigers should cover. They don't cover. Then last night, I tried to get cute, and I go, you know what? This is a game where the Tigers should easily cover. I know they're on the road, but this is not a good USF team. They're not playing very well right now, and this is a game that the Tigers should cover. So I said, I'm going to do, since every time I say the Tigers are going to cover, they don't cover, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to blindly take USF, even though they shouldn't cover. And so that's what I did. I took USF, and I lost. I'll be honest. I lost because Memphis covered. I bring this up not to talk about myself or anything. I bring this up because this Tiger team, at least against the spread, you never know what to expect.
They're horrible against it.
You never know what to expect. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. Who cares about the spread?
As long as they win.
As long as they win. Now, I understand. Look, and they talked about it on the broadcast last night about the argument, and I forgot who they said they were talking to. Somebody that kind of does advanced analytics, and I can't remember who it was.
And I didn't have the sound on. I had the game on,
right,
but no sound.
But they were talking about how that is a conversation that comes up a lot because people will say Memphis is not winning these games by enough points, and I agree with that. One of the things that worries me about this Tiger team didn't worry me last night because they were great last night. After kind of the first 15 minutes of the game, we'll talk about that in a second. The thing that worries me about this team is you show up and play Tulane, you turn the ball over 16 times, you don't shoot the ball well, you don't rebound the ball well, you shoot the ball well late, but it feels like, the Tigers, the game is a roller coaster sometimes when it comes to shooting, especially three-point shooting. You do all of that, you beat Tulane. You can beat a Tulane doing all of that. But when that kind of becomes the same old thing that we expect every game, they're going to have turnover issues. They're going to have rebounding issues. They're going to be up and down shooting the ball. But they're going to win at the end. It might be ugly, They might go up by 20 and then win by 6, but they're going to win. Will that be the same if you're a 4 seed playing one of these sneaky 13s that are probably a conference champion, that's probably been playing in tough games every single game out, competitive games, and plays a good brand of basketball? Is that going to hold up against them? It might. I don't. It might.
Comparatively speaking, you know what it sounds like?
What?
The Super Bowl. How many times are you going to get by the hairs on your chin before it bites you in the butt? Yep. It may not do it in the regular season, but in the postseason. What struck me was you were describing the team on the other side. Battle-tested NCAA tournament. So you're like Sweet 16-ish, Elite 8, let's just call it something like that, and you're going against a battle-tested team. How many times are you going to squeak by? You're probably not.
Well, so. I'm not even talking about Sweet 16. I'm talking about first round.
Well, first round. I mean, I'll give you, first round, even then.
One of these teams that, has
playoffs. We'll say that.
Won their conference. They are really sound, fundamentally, and
a team that deserves to be there just as much as you.
And, has played in games where, hey, maybe they've got a guy that they can give it to, make a play late. Tigers have plenty of guys they can give it to if they need a shot late. That's not what I'm saying, but, you always hear the 5-12, when the bracket comes out, everyone immediately looks at the 5-12 games and goes, history tells us one of these 12s is going to beat the 5. And so that's what scares me. But I'll be honest, last night, I didn't have that worry. Tigers looked good last night.
USF doesn't have one of those guys, though, right?
No.
Like UAB. UAB has Yaxel Lindenborg.
That's right.
Like, that's one of the type of teams you're talking about. A guy with a complete alpha that will not be denied.
Right. I was looking at, and I promise we're going to get to the game in a second, but I forgot what team I was looking at the other day. Maybe Samford? I saw a bracketology that had Samford in playing Memphis in the first round. It was, I think it was a 5-12. Samford this year, they're 106 in KenPom, so nearly a top 100 team. Memphis, I guess UAB probably close to top 100. I think North Texas was top 100. But listen to this. And now Samford has lost back-to-back games. They'll have to win their tournament to get in. But Samford, 90th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. They are number 22, so they are top 20 team, or top 25 team in three-point shooting. They are top 25 in turnover percentage, defensive turnover percentage, so they're turning opponents over at a top 25 percentage. And their offensive rebound percentage is top 50. That sounds like a team that could give Memphis a really good game because those are the areas that Memphis has struggled in, especially in conference play. So they need, you got to clean some of this up. And I do think last night you saw steps in the right direction. It has nothing to do with, finally they blew a team out, finally they covered. But let's talk about the game last night. Tyrese Hunter comes back. He's sat out, missed the game against Temple on Sunday. We didn't really know building up if he was going to play. The reports came out yesterday afternoon that he would be available. That was kind of the key word that stuck with me yesterday. He's going to be available. That doesn't mean he's going to start. That doesn't mean he's even really going to play. That just means he's available to play if they need him to. He ended up starting and playing a lot and looked really good. The start of the game was really bad on both sides.
Worrisome.
It was really bad on both sides. Both teams turning the ball over left and right, missing shots, playing super fast. I mean, it felt like USF came out wanting to punch Memphis in the mouth and beat them with athleticism. I don't know what they wanted to beat them with. It was
their Super Bowl, right?
But it was, and I don't like saying that, but it felt like it last night. The way they came out, they were trying to play fast, and it got to a point where they were playing faster than they wanted to, and they were speeding themselves up, and it caused a lot of turnovers, and it was really ugly. It was back and forth early. At the under 12, USF led 17-15. Really back and forth game. Both teams shooting the ball pretty well. Memphis shooting about 43% 40% from three. On the other side, USF shooting over 50% from the field. But the big thing was Memphis had 6 turnovers. USF had 7 turnovers. So a lot of turnovers. It was just very sloppy basketball. And that slowly started to get better, especially for the Tigers. Then we went on this stretch where they weren't really turning the ball over, but nobody could make a shot. I mean, it was just clank after clank after clank. They threw this up on television. Memphis started the game 5 for 9 from the field. But then in this stretch, middle of the first half, 1 for 9 from the field. And then it got to the point where both teams at one point were 1 for their last 10 field goals. I mean, that's just bad. So then we
Conference USA-ish.
I mean, that's really bad. So then we get down to the under 4 media timeout, and I looked because I was like, what are these teams? I was kind of keeping up with it because I was like, I wonder what these teams are shooting now. So I mentioned it earlier. At the under 12, Memphis was shooting 43% from the field. USF was shooting 53% from the field. At the under 4, Memphis was shooting 34% from the field. USF, who at under 12, was shooting 53%, 32%. Nobody can make a shot. But things changed. I don't know what changed. I don't know what turned after the under 4 timeout. I guess it wasn't really the under 4. I think it was like right at 4 minutes they called a timeout and I looked. So maybe not the under 4. Memphis led by 6 at that point. 27-21. After that, they come out immediately out of that timeout. Memphis has possession. They find Tyrese Hunter for an open 3. Memphis ended up going on a 15-6 run to end the half. It was 15-3 run before Musa Cisse fouled a 3-point shooter, sent him to the line. He knocked down all 3 free throws. So you had an opportunity to go into half on a 15-3 run. It turns into a 15-6 run. They were 5 for 7 from the field from that around 4-minute mark until the end. I think it was 4:05 was that timeout. From there until halftime, 5 for 7 from the field, a 15-6 run, and ended up leading by 15 at half. So, I mean, that shows you how strong this team is. Just like that, they can go on this run. They can break that 1 for 10 shooting from the field and, be really, really deadly and look really good. Second half, it was really all Memphis. They played really well. P.J. Haggerty had a really good game. Dane Danger had another Dane Danger has
That's
been
what I was waiting
incredible since he started. And the thing is, and I think we've talked about it. It felt like last night was the first time I've heard, and I'll be honest, I'm very in and out on listening to the broadcasters when they're talking. I'm usually just focusing on the game. But last night they talked at length about the degree of difficulty of Dane Danger's shots, because he's not, they were talking about over his last 4 games, something like that, he is shooting 72% from the field, Dane Danger is. And one of the guys made the point that when you see a big shooting 72% from the field, you're thinking it's lobs, it's, easy putback dunks, it's, a lot of easy stuff around the basket, but not for Dane Danger. I mean, Dane Danger's hitting hook shots and fadeaways and
pirouetting to the hole.
I mean, it really is incredible, some of these shots that are falling for him. And I don't know, Dane Danger has been a really good player since the start of the season, but something has changed. That confidence, I don't know what it is, but since Penny Hardaway brought him back from being on the bench, he's been incredible. He's been unbelievable, and nothing really changed from that last night. Tyrese Hunter, I thought, had a really good game coming back from injury. And then 2 guys that I do really want to point out from that game last night. Memphis ended up winning 80-65, so a 15-point win for them. Nicholas Jourdain and Dante Harris, I thought both played really well while also not scoring the ball, which is, kind of rare. We
Shaq calls those the others.
Mm-hmm.
Those
yes,
are the others.
The others, yeah. So I thought both of those guys were really good last night. Nicholas Jourdain only had 2 points, but listen to this: 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block. He was doing a lot of really good things. I thought some of his passes that didn't result into made baskets, I thought were really good. Some passes that I don't know if I've really seen Nicholas Jourdain have those kind of finds. His rebounding was really good, and I thought really helped the team out. I think at one point I was driving home. I had to go run and do something, and I was driving back home, and I was listening to Dave on the radio broadcast, and he said Nicholas Jourdain is plus 20 in plus minus.
For the season?
For the game.
Oh, for that game. Okay, for the game.
And so he was kind of talking about how he only has 2 points, but look at how effective he is. He is rebounding the ball. He's dishing out assists. He's got a couple steals. He has a block. He is impacting the game without scoring. And so, that feels like a role that Nicholas Jourdain is fine with. He to me at least, I could be wrong. I've never personally met Nicholas Jourdain. I've been in press conferences with him. I've watched him play plenty of times. I've never had a conversation with Nicholas Jourdain. But he comes across to me as the guy that does not care if he gets 10 shots a game. He's out there wanting to help the team win. I truly believe that. And so, if you can go out there, if you're Nicholas Jourdain, who, let's be honest, Arian, has not had the best season. It's not been a great year for him. Go look at social media during some of these games. Fans let him have it. And I have one buddy that texts me almost every game. Like, if I see Nicholas Jourdain do that one more time, like, it's not going to be good. I'm not going to be happy. And, but if he can have a role like this where he's not taking a lot of shots. I don't know how many shots he ended up taking last night. At one point it was 3 because I was kind of keeping up with it. And at one point he had 2 shots maybe, either 2 or 3 shots. So he didn't take a lot of shots last night, but he was impacting the game in other ways. The other, Dante Harris last night, only 2 points, but 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals off the bench. Only 1 turnover. He did have 4 fouls. He was close to fouling out, but
what's impressive about that? Only 11 minutes, baby.
Exactly.
4 fouls, 11 minutes, making them count.
Make them count, I guess. Now, I guess that's also the double-edged sword when you hear people say that. He only played 10 minutes and he got 4 fouls. Well, there's also a reason he only played 10 minutes with 4 fouls because he couldn't stay out there without fouling. But no, I mean, when you're able to do 11 minutes, you said, and still have 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals. I mean, you're playing pretty well. Both those guys combined for only 1 turnover. So you look at that and you look at that turnover issue, and that's another thing I want to point out: 12 turnovers in the game for the Tigers, and this is big. 12 turnovers in the game last night. At halftime, they had 8 turnovers. So only 4 turnovers in the second half after you had 8 turnovers in the first half. It was a big problem in the first half, not a problem at all in the second half. Now, again, yes, USF is not a good team. Like, they are, and I feel bad for them. I mean, it's been a tough, 4 months for them, 5 months for them. But they're not a very good team. And, I hope the Tigers are starting to figure some things out. Because, look, these issues, I feel like sometimes we come on here and talk about, they can't rebound the ball, they can't turn. These aren't like major issues. This team is winning games and are looking good doing it. But these are things that you would like to clean up. And so when I see 8 turnovers in the first half, but only 12 in the entire game, you finish with 15 assists, you finish with 51 rebounds. 51 rebounds in a college basketball game is a lot. You limited USF to only 28 rebounds, only 4 offensive rebounds for them. Memphis had 16 offensive rebounds. So this was a really solid game. We talked about the 3-point shooting earlier. It was really good last night for Memphis as well. They finished 36% from 3, but I will say this, that 36% might not stand out to you, but earlier in the game, with 7 minutes and 20 seconds left, they were shooting 40% from three. They were 9 for 22. They finished the game 9 for 25. So they only took, 3 more three-pointers and missed all of them. And that dropped their average down. But they still made 9 threes in that game. And really, after, under 6 minutes, you had the game wrapped up. You were just kind of out there, playing out the game. And so, I think that 40% is bigger than ultimately what you finished off with at 36%. So I thought a really, really solid game from the Tigers. The other thing on the other side for USF, who did not shoot the ball well at all, they finished the game 24% from three. This is a team that entered the game not shooting the three ball well, but I think it felt like they started to get behind. They wanted to try to knock down a couple threes. We talk about it a lot. It feels like opposing teams, for whatever reason, have better success making threes against Memphis for whatever reason. So it felt like that was kind of a game plan early on. Hey, let's take some early threes, see if we can make them. But they weren't falling, and then Memphis started, especially at the end of the first half, got this big lead, and it felt like after that, USF was just trying to get back in the game with threes. But the problem was they can't make threes, and so it was a struggle for USF last night. But I do think very solid win for the Tigers, and a win that I think will really help you, because tomorrow, we haven't talked about it, we will get the top 16 revealed for the NCAA tournament. If the season ended today,
from the tournament, not Lunardi, right?
From the NCAA
because last night
tournament.
Lunardi at halftime put up his 16, and the Tigers were obviously not on any four line. So
now
I was looking for.
I think today Lunardi gives us a bracketology, right? I could be wrong. I still can't remember. Yeah, here we go. 8 hours ago. It was up, or no, not 8. I don't know why it says 8 hours ago. He updated it at 7:15.
That's 2 a.m., right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe he updated it again. Maybe they just posted it and then he updated it this morning. I don't know. So men's bracketology updated 3 hours ago or so. Let's see where he has Memphis.
Solid 5. Come on, solid 5.
Yep, he has Memphis as a 5 playing Yale in the first round.
And last night he actually had, like, in parentheses, the number of the seed. Mm-hmm. So can you tell which 5 they are? The 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I cannot.
Oh, okay.
I cannot. If I saw his, like if I could find his when he posted that, yeah, I could tell you.
You know what stood out about that breakdown, an excellent breakdown by you from the game. What I was listening to was basically a Tigers route to beat them.
Yeah.
When you were discussing the team, like for one, what stands out immediately is there's not 12, 13, 14 guys playing. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing.
Oh, that's been huge.
There's a solid 8.
That has been
There's
massive.
a solid 7 plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you that. Dante is kind of the throw in that if this were NCAA tournament time and you were crunching it down to 7, unless foul trouble happened or some kind of matchup issues, Dante may or may not see the floor. But from that standpoint, if you're looking from the opposing coaches, what you just said, if you do the opposite of what you just said the Tigers would allow, which is Dane Danger getting comfortable, Nick Jourdain playing that glue guy role and make the Tigers play left-handed, then we'll see how that kind of plays out. But I kind of like the small lineup, not in size, but just having only 7, 8 players.
Yeah.
Right now, it's not a platoon field,
right.
And we don't know who's out there. Is it Ashton? Is it Jaden? Is it this person, that person? You know who's going to be on the floor.
Yeah, and you talk about that shorter rotation, and I think that's been big this year. It's something that a lot of people have been asking for forever. Hey, we don't need to see the 11th guy on the bench. Let's see 8 guys and let's move on.
Because he was the number 80th ranked player in the nation. Now we gotta fit him in.
Sure, and so I think Penny Hardaway is seeing. Look, hey, we've got 8 guys that can go and can give us these minutes. I think another thing is you have these veteran guys that have been playing college basketball. They know how it is. They know, hey, look, I can go in, come out, sit 2 minutes, and get back in. I'll be fine. He's got guys that are well conditioned. He's got very athletic players, and so I think that's helped a lot. I know, he has talked about how he wishes Jared Harris that he would have redshirted him, because in previous years, Jared Harris is a guy that'd be playing every game, and he'd be that 10th man off the bench and playing a lot, and you're not seeing that this year. Same thing, Brock Okoje, who is, I think we were talking in the afternoon with Matt Infield.
Dr. Matt. I was listening to Dr. Matt.
And we said, it feels like, because there was a stretch where there was one game Brock Okoje did not play. Did not play at all. Next game, he played, but Dante Harris did not play. And so I asked Matt, what's going on with this? One game this guy's playing, one game this guy's playing. And he said, those guys are kind of similar players. And, maybe it's Penny just getting a feel of, like, I think this game, Braca will benefit more from playing in this game. I think in this game, Dante will benefit more from playing in this game. And so maybe going like that. I'll tell you this. I think this 8-man lineup should say I love Dante Harris and what he gives you as a veteran guard. A guy that was, as a freshman helping Georgetown win a Big East championship. Went to Virginia, has played at big-time programs, has not been the focal point, really, but is a guy that has been around, has those, when you think Virginia, you think defense, he's going to bring defense. And that's the first thing Penny Hardaway said about him when he brought him in was like, hey, this guy is going to give us a lot defensively. And
so
now
you're not playing at Virginia if you're not playing
exactly.
defense.
And so now you're seeing, we saw him in that starting role, him, show us what he can do offensively. And so I think 8-man rotation, this 8-man rotation going into the tournament, super solid. I think really, really solid.
Quick question. Do you not like having that super freshman? Because the more we talk, it's obvious, but you have to dig into it a little bit. We don't have that super freshman.
Yeah.
That powerful
Sure.
freshman that everybody wanted, that Penny Hardaway snatched from everyone else. Do you like having this veteran team instead of that one super one and done type of guy?
I do. Yeah, I like it a lot, and I think Penny Hardaway has seen. Look, Penny comes in and very early says, I want to go and get the flashy guys. I want to go and get that 5-star. I want to go get that one and done. He goes and gets James Wiseman. He goes and gets Precious Achiuwa. He goes and gets Amani Bates. He goes and gets Jalen Duren. I love all those guys. All those guys I think are great. The problem is when you're going after, the 5-stars, I'll use, Amani Bates as a example. I love Amani Bates. I think he is a great person. I think he's a really talented basketball player. I think what was done to him by his team, whether it was his father, whether it was somebody else, was horrible. That kid at age 14, 15 is on the cover of Sports Illustrated. His life changes. And I think that there is some things behind the scenes where, like, he was too young to really be the type of stardom that he had to be thrown into. And I think that, like, I know it sounds like easy of like, hey man, I'd love to be 15 years old on the cover of Sports Illustrated. I would love to be getting a full ride to play basketball and being considered the next Kevin Durant. Like, that's great. But like, I remember being in a press conference with Amani, and somebody asked him about something, and he was like, yeah, I'm really just trying to refine my love for basketball. And I was like, man, like that's crazy for a top prospect freshman to say is crazy. But he was like, for the last 2 or 3 years, my life has been everything but just playing basketball. And so like with Penny, I'm trying to get that. And so there's a lot that comes with having those flashy freshmen. Amani Bates, if he's having a bad night, what are you going to do? Leave him on the bench all game? No, you have to play him. He has to come in. He has to play. This way you have veteran guys that have been around. And look, if Moose Cissé is having a bad game, bench. Nicholas Jourdain last week, and we got to get to a break, so last thing on this, but last example I'll use, what was it? 3 games ago, maybe against Tulsa, there was a sequence where Nicholas Jourdain goes and chunks a 3, misses it short, turns around, hangs his head. It's the first time I've ever seen Nicholas Jourdain do this. Hangs his head and starts walking back. Looks up, sees a guy sprinting down the court, unguarded. His guy that he's supposed to get back and guard. Getting a pass, going up for the layup. So he tries to sprint back, ends up fouling him. Guy makes the basket and one. Well, all of that started because you hung your head after a missed 3. Well, what does Penny do? Something that Penny Hardaway would not do in past years with a 5-star freshman. Takes him out immediately. Sits him on the bench. That was at like the 5-minute mark of the first half. Nicholas Jourdain never came back in the game in that first half and then did not start in the second half. So I think Penny Hardaway likes the older guys, and I would not be surprised if we see not only more of the bringing in just one freshman like we saw with Jared Harris, bringing in a guy that is maybe a 3-star, maybe a low 4-star, redshirt. Come in and learn from these older guys. And I'd like that. Come in and learn. It's so hard in this day and age of basketball. Come in and learn from our older guys. And then when you're a sophomore, you're going to start coming off the bench. Then when you're a junior, you're going to start for us. It's hard to do this day and age, right?
You got to start. You're right. You got to do that with the upper 3s, lower 4s.
And so, I would love for him to, try it. And I think he would be really good at doing it. I think he has really, great guys on his staff that can go out and find those talented guys that are maybe, not as highly touted and saying like, that guy's got something. Let's bring him in. And then you don't get the thing of, well, why are we recruiting 3-stars? Why are we not recruiting 5-stars? Because you're going to go out in the portal and you're going to get the bulk of your team is going to be PJ Haggerty's and Kendrick Davis's, these guys that are top 20 transfer portal guys that have shown I can play in college basketball. So it's a great question, and I do think Penny Hardaway likes the older group. But
before you get out, the only reason Money thought it would be so easy is this guy named LeBron James was on the cover.
He's been called KD. Yeah. LeBron was on the cover as a high schooler.
I think Money was younger than all of them on that cover.
I love Monty. He very talented
Cleveland
guy.
Cavaliers.
That's right. Super great guy. But just didn't work out here for him in Memphis, and that's okay. Well, let's get to a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the All-Star Weekend that starts this weekend. I'm curious if Darian will be watching much of it with the new format, but we will talk about that next on Wolo and Friends.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes I wish I had a gun.
Well, I'm armed, but before I bought one, I still went to Top Gun Academy to learn to protect myself without a gun.
How is that possible?
Top Gun's personal protection training. It's perfect if you want to protect yourself without firearms.
I don't know.
And it's perfect if you feel the need to carry a gun for self-defense, because the last thing you really want to do is shoot.
That is scary.
Not at Top Gun. It's very comfortable, and you learn to load, handle, and shoot a handgun safely. Protect yourself. Go to Top Gun Academy. They're at 2770 Witten Road.
Hey y'all, it's the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 14th to the 16th at the Agri Center. Come buy your new boat and make some memories at the lake this summer with family and friends. Premier dealers showcasing the newest ski boats, pontoons, fishing boats with huge show specials. Enter for your chance to win daily door prizes. It's all at the Mid-South Sports Boat and RV Show, February 14th to the 16th. For more info, go to MemphisBoatShow.com. That's MemphisBoatShow.com.
You get the best of Memphis for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack. Choose from house pastrami, corned beef, smoked turkey, roast beef, roast pork, beef brisket, and full shoulders, all made in-house. Elwood's fresh beef bread is delivered daily only in our bakery in Cordova, and all Elwood's cakes and sweet treats come from Frost Bakery. Open daily for lunch and dinner at Elwood Shack on summer in the Lowe's parking lot. And the newest Elwood's at 4040 Parking Plus. You're there. Get the best of Memphis or anywhere else at Elwood Shack.
Your
Going back in to Wolo and Friends. No Dave today. Bryant and Darian with you. Gotta talk All-Star Weekend. Begins tonight, and I think a lot of Memphians, Grizzly fans will be watching tonight because tonight the Rising Stars games, I guess you could call it. Rising Stars tournament, you could call it. It's tonight. We know both the rookies, Jalen Wells and Zachary. I guess
Zachary.
Two of the rookies, because people forget about Cam Spencer. But
He's involved too tonight?
He's not, but it feels like everyone's like, the rookies are there tonight. Well, not all the rookies are there because Cam Spencer's out with an injury right now, so he doesn't count, and he's not in the rotation, so he doesn't count. But no, the two rookies are going to be participating tonight. They're on the same team. We know kind of the tournament format. If you've been living under a rock, if you don't know the tournament format. So tonight we'll have the Rising Stars where it's 4 teams and of all young guys. They'll play, and the winner of this tournament tonight will get a spot to play Sunday with the big boys, with the All-Stars, with the Kevin Durant's and LeBron James, playing against them. So I do think it's cool. It's this new idea that they have brought up, I think is cool. Certainly for the Rising Stars game, because let's be honest, Darian. And you know what? I won't even ask you. I'll raise my hand. A lot of times on Friday nights when it's the Rising Stars night, I will not watch the Rising Stars game, and I will turn it on whenever the celebrity basketball game starts. And now not even anymore, because half the time now I don't even know the people that are playing I've reached that age, Darian, where I'm like, who is this? This is a YouTuber? I don't know this guy.
Ain't no more Nellies and Justin Biebers out there, right?
Who is this? This is a singer? I've never heard of this person. So even now, not as much that. But I do think this idea tonight of having, hey, the winner of this is going to play in Sunday, I think will draw more eyes. So let's just start with tonight. Both the rookies playing. How much will you be watching of night 1 of All-Star Weekend?
Because it's Friday and because of said other gig, I'll have it on. I'll have it on, but I won't have the sound on. Unfortunately, the sound there causes a ruckus unless I put my headphones on, and then I can't hear how many people are being killed in the city. So, but yeah, I will watch it. I have the sound off or whatnot, but I tend to record it. Like I'm a sports junkie. So when I get off on Thursday nights, I start NBA TNT from the beginning. I watch it from the beginning. Sometimes it catches the last few minutes of the last game. But as far as tonight, I'll do the same. I'll record it. Hopefully I can catch the majority of it live. But if I don't, I always pop a squat after work and catch up on all of it.
I'll probably watch it. I'll probably have it on at least. I want to see the new format. I want to see how it looks and what it does. But Rising Stars doesn't do much for me.
It doesn't. And in all honesty, I'm there for the 4 guys. I mean,
sure.
From a journalism, entertainment standpoint, it gets no better. I know that's broken in, but it gets no better from a television standpoint than watching Ernie, Chuck, Shaq, and Kenny, especially when they let their hair down. They let their hair down anyway. But weekends, they just go absolutely kahunas. I mean, they're interacting with fans. They're getting really personal with the players, and I love to see it. And Ernie keeps them all a toe, but he lets them go. He lets them be themselves. Like, I don't know if you saw it last night. They had the men and women that helped put out the fires in California. They had maybe 10, 15 of them. And the leader of the squad, the chief or lieutenant, I apologize, I didn't get his full title or whatnot. They were talking seriously about what was going on, how they, love helping people, why they are who they are. Yeah. And then Kenny says, look, we know this is a serious moment, but one of y'all said y'all can be Shaq dancing. And before you know, you have a dance off between the firemen and women and Shaq. So I love seeing those guys because the team, on ESPN, they have a team, but they're not as fun. They're more detail oriented, and that's fine. But I get my details from Ernie. I love the fun from the other guys. I do.
Yeah, no, the TNT crew is
excellent, man.
It's different from anything you'll see on television, and
they make the All-Star Weekend. I mean, even if you go back to the fantastic because I didn't realize this. They did this last night. San Francisco was 25 years ago, obviously, ding. But that was the Vince Carter deal. And I vividly recall being a 16, 17-year-old in my cousin's basement, watching it alone because nobody loved basketball as much as I did. And I'm watching that thing going nuts, dude, downstairs. Like, it was beautiful. I mean, a beautiful night. So I love it. And Ernie, that's what I was getting at. Kenny's call. Let's go home. Let's go. If you don't remember that, like, where were you? It's over. It's the little point. I just love it. I love those guys. So they are near and dear to my heart, as you can tell.
Oh, yeah. Well, so I'll probably watch a little bit tonight. What about tomorrow night? 3-point shooting contest, dunk contest. I mean, nobody participated in the dunk contest.
I've fallen out of love on Saturdays, but if you were to hold said gun to my head and say, you got one night, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I think I'd take Saturday. Still.
Wow.
I'm a dunk contest guy. I know we've seen it all. Johnny Harden. I love calling Johnny Money. He doesn't want to see McClung again. He's kind of crapping on the dunk contest, but I still like it because every now and again you'll get that one off. It's like, wow, that dunk should have been in the 90s or the 80s. So I like it.
And then Sunday, the final day, Jaren, he's an all-star, new format.
Can you explain it? Do you know? Like, is it to 21 or something?
I've heard the nitty-gritty.
Is it a clock?
Are
they doing it with a clock?
It's to a score. I think it's like 40 or something like that.
Elam ending?
It is Elam ending,
okay.
I believe. I don't know the format very much, I'll be honest.
I know that, so I'm anticipating Sunday, I guess, this week, just so we can see.
I guess that shows you how much I really care about All-Star Weekend.
It's a throwaway.
I don't know the format. I bring all this up.
Better than Pro Bowl weekend, I'll tell you that, though.
Yes. But I bring all this up, and I bring it up, one, because I am excited to see Zach Edey and Jalen Wells, and then to see Jaren as an all-star. That's awesome. It's fun. Like, I'll keep an eye on it. But I have been blown away. NBA and NHL pretty much run at the same time, and so their all-star games, all-star weekends, usually pretty much line up. So this year, instead of doing an all-star weekend, where kind of NHL's kind of fallen into the same thing, where NBA, everyone's just out there kind of hanging out. Same thing with NHL. Everyone was just kind of out there hanging out with the All-Star games. It wasn't anything crazy. You weren't getting guys going full speed. Everyone was just out there having fun, and I don't blame them. So this year, NHL decided, hey, we're going to do away with the All-Star game. We're going to do away with the entire All-Star weekend. We're going to put on the Four Nations Face-Off, a tournament involving Canada, the United States of America, Finland, and Sweden. I watched a lot of Canada and Sweden 2 nights ago. Great game. Went to overtime. Ended up, Sidney Crosby had an assist to win it, and everyone freaked out because it was Sidney Crosby. Last night,
Sweden covered with that goal and a half piece.
That's right.
Just letting y'all know because I didn't take it.
Last night, USA versus Finland. I mean, you have guys out there. The pace, fast. Guys going out there playing like this is Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. It was incredible. I mean, USA ended up winning 6-1. It was a blowout. They scored 3 goals at the beginning of the third period. But I have a buddy who's a big hockey guy. Shout out Ryan. He texted me and told me that Sidney Crosby, I believe this is right, sat out the final game before this break so that he could be fresh and ready to go for Team Canada. You're seeing, and this is it's different because obviously with the NBA, you see Team USA and all of the best playing in the Olympics every 4 years. Well, NHLers have not been able. This 2026 will be the first time the NHLers will be able to participate in the Olympics. Certainly in a long time, maybe I don't think ever, but certainly in a while. They really haven't been able to participate because it's in the middle of their season. They haven't really gotten a time to participate. And so for a lot of these guys, the best hockey players are out there representing their country together in the middle of the season. It's crazy. It's insane. And I don't know how the Olympics work, because I think I don't know in terms of the NHLers playing, but you're getting the best hockey players playing with the best hockey players against each other in what should be All-Star Weekend, but they are treating it like it's Game 7. USA-Canada is playing tomorrow night in Canada. And I don't want to we're not going to get political or anything here, but Toronto and Canada, a lot of places
they've been booing the anthem.
They have been booing the national anthem, yes. So last night, USA versus Finland in Canada, national anthem starts playing, the boos ring out. Austin Matthews, who is an American, plays in Toronto. This was in Montreal. He gets booed every time he touches the puck. So they interviewed a lot of the guys on the team saying, hey, what'd you think of the booing? Guys didn't like it. They end up talking to the Kachuk brothers, Brady and Matthew.
Keith's boys.
Yes. And I think Matthew said, talking about the game against Canada, I've been waiting for this game, this opportunity, for 9 years. Brady Kachuk said, this is the biggest game of my life. This is supposed to be All-Star Weekend. And you have guys saying this is the biggest game of my life. I don't know how you get that in the NBA, but I sure wish we could get something like it.
I'm so glad you brought that up. So quickly, I get a lot of my hockey info from Emily Kaplan. I'm pretty sure you know who that is. So the other day she was on a show and she made this great point, and what sparked my ears was everyone agreed with her. So long story short, this USA versus the world format, every talking head on the set agreed that the hockey league basically got it right.
Yeah.
They said, so what about the NBA? What about the NFL? They said until they put some form of pride on the line, just like you said, all of the guys wanted to be there. Everybody is focused in on this game, unlike a regular exhibition game. She was like, until the NBA goes NBA versus the world, you won't have the pride again. And that's something that hockey obviously got right this time, because there was not a single panelist up there that said this was either incorrect or wrong, or they were either not excited about it. Everyone was excited about it. Every person.
I was blown away because going into it, I didn't really know much about it. I hadn't done too much research about it, and it felt like this is just a made-up tournament that was thrown together in All-Star Weekend. Why would anybody care about this? And I was watching it last night, like the first minute of the game, someone just slams a Finland guy into the boards, and I go, holy cow, this is way better than I thought it would be. And so I bring that up not to just talk about hockey, even though I will use that. Dave likes hockey, so I'll use that as an opportunity to say, go watch Canada versus USA tomorrow night, because it's going to be electric. But I bring that up because, NBA needs to find something that they can do so that they can have more of an investment with these guys, because right now they really don't have that when it comes to All-Star Weekend. And I don't know, is it – because NBA is a lot different. NHL is very much a global sport in terms of you're getting a lot of guys from Sweden and from Finland and from obviously Canada. I don't know what you would do, because I don't know if you have – do you have enough guys to say –
The world? You mean for the world?
Well, not even the world. I'm thinking more of like, would you want to just do USA versus the world for All-Star
You'd have
game?
to. You couldn't break it down like hockey could.
Exactly.
You couldn't break it
think
down.
you could.
Because, how many Slovenians do you have?
Exactly.
What, 1, 2?
Exactly.
Is Joker? Where's Joker from? Serbia.
He's from Serbia.
So, you see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So, not the same, so on and so
so
forth.
then you would – I mean – if you were breaking it down, you wouldn't have enough for Serbia. Then you don't have Jokic in the All-Star game. You wouldn't have enough for Slovenia. Then you don't have Luka in the game. I mean, you're missing out on your biggest stars if you don't do that. So it would have to be USA versus the world. And then at that point, would the world really care about? Well, we're playing for everything outside of USA. Yeah, hoorah! Like, I don't know. It's a good question, but I do think.
Yeah, you couldn't do it. I just looked it up quickly. 70% of the NBA is black. 17.5% is white. 2% Latino. 0.2% makes up everything else. You could not do it.
But you could do USA versus the world.
The world,
Yeah,
yes,
but you
but the
couldn't do
breakdown
the countries,
because
no.
you just don't have enough. You just don't have enough.
No.
But I mean, 2%, 0.2%, like you don't have enough.
But I don't know. And maybe it's the same thing because maybe like with this NHL thing, I did not think, oh yeah, Austin Matthews is gonna go out there and be like, oh yeah, Team USA, let's go in this made up tournament or whatever. For me, I cannot see Kevin Durant being like, oh yeah, it's the middle of the NBA season, but let me put on this Team USA jersey and play my heart out for my country in this made up tournament. I just don't see that. I just don't see that happening. But again, I didn't see it for the NHL, and it was awesome. And so I don't know. I think they need to do something and change this. Maybe this format works. Maybe the little tournament.
Players in your NBA will never let that happen again. So.
Let what happen again?
Them actually play hard on
the
the weekend.
thing,
It's over with. Like,
but
we want it. I feel your passion on it, but
do I? Like, I don't really care about the All-Star game.
Those that do just want those guys to play hard. That's
Yeah.
it. Like, even if you had to break it down, however you got to break it down, NBA versus the world, Canada versus USA versus Mexico versus Serbia, however you have to do it. People just want to see these guys play hard. Don't get hurt, but play hard.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think we're never going to see...
The Pro Bowl sucks. Flag football? Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no, I'm out on that.
Well,
dude.
and I think... I don't remember who I saw say it, but I was listening to somebody. Maybe it was the morning guys. Maybe it was Greg and Eli. I don't know. Somebody was like, I enjoy watching the Thursday night stuff and watching the, fun stuff they do. But, that's about it. I don't really care for the other stuff. And so, maybe that's just what All-Star Weekend's going to become. Maybe it's going to become the dunk contest, the three-point shooting contest. You add in a couple of other fun things to get everybody involved, and then you just deal with the All-Star game. But that's kind of where we're at right now. But maybe this tournament changes things. I really don't know. Only a couple more minutes here before we have to get out of here. Blew right through the 10:45 break because we were having such a good time talking about All-Star Weekend. I do want to remind you, though, before we get out of here, this weekend we have you. I mean, if you are a fan of Ole Miss athletics, you're going to be staying right here on Sports 56 all weekend long because we have you covered all weekend with Ole Miss athletics. Tomorrow afternoon, Ole Miss versus Mississippi State, a massive college basketball game. We'll have pregame starting at 4:30 for that one, a 5 o'clock tip for that game. Sunday, Ole Miss baseball. They start their season. Yeah, college baseball gets started today. Ole Miss baseball, they're down in Arlington playing in a tournament, a loaded tournament. I believe today they have ranked Arizona. Tomorrow they have ranked Texas. And then on Sunday will be the first day we have an opportunity to broadcast Ole Miss baseball. They'll be taking on Clemson, who I believe is also ranked in the top 25. So a really big weekend for Ole Miss baseball. So we have you covered all weekend with Ole Miss athletics. Also, we've got that number 1 versus number 2. Should be a lot of fun this weekend. Really good day of hoops set for tomorrow. Tigers will be in action on Sunday on the road against Wichita State. But that's all the time we have today. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll stick around because Johnny Radio, he's up next.